Hi, everybody. Welcome to Resource Sessions. And I can't believe it's April 2023, but we're honored to have our not-for-profit hero of the month. And we're here today to introduce all of you to Little City Foster Care. And I have Emily Rawsky with me today. Hi, Emily. How are you today?
Hi, Gwen. I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Thanks so much. So tell me a little bit about the background of Little City.
Absolutely. Little City is a really large organization. We are based out of Palatine. We've been providing services as one of the premier providers in the space of serving children and adults who have intellectual and developmental disabilities and autism for over 60 years. Our foster care program specifically we are currently celebrating our 30th anniversary. We've always been based out of Chicago. And just within the last year, we've been really privileged and had the opportunity to expand to serving additional communities in Joliet and Matson as well.
Right, and that is in the Will County and South Cook County area and South Suburban area. So, I know that you work with individuals with disabilities, but it's both the adults and children, right? Both?
As an organization, yes, we serve youth from individuals from 0 to 100. In our foster care space, we work with youth age 0 to 21 specifically. And we have a specialization in our foster care realm. We maintain the specializations for serving youth who have intellectual and developmental disabilities, but we also serve youth who have emotional and behavioral disorders, as well as youth who may not have any identified needs other than the fact that they've experienced trauma and separation from their birth families by just being in foster care.
So if someone is in need of your services, what's the first step? Do you service the general community? If somebody says, look, I have an adult living with me, a family member, and they are disabled, how do they approach? What is the format here?
Sure. We have definitely a lot of different service areas and people within our organization to help navigate families looking for services and looking for support. I think within the foster care area, we get all of our referrals from DCFS specifically, but we also provide under our foster care umbrella community-based clinical services. So through Medicaid, so we do have contracts with 7 managed care providers, or all of the managed care providers in Illinois, in order to provide community-based mental health services, and we also provide community-based behavioral services by ways and means of applied behavioral analysis therapies, or ABA, for community members as well. So to reach us in the foster care space, we have a very easy to remember email. It's foster@littlecity.org. For clinical services, our email is helpstartshere@littlecity.org.
That's great. So if somebody's in the community and they need help, they could reach out to your organization. And if you can't directly assist them, then you could navigate them to another destination. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely.
Very good. Now, tell me about the adult day services, because I think that's kind of fascinating.
Unfortunately, that's not under my umbrella. I do, under some of what my purview for my current position, do have purview over some of our adults receiving services, but Little City does provide adult day services primarily in some of Cook and DuPage and Lake counties. So we do a lot of service in Grayslake and around the Palatine area. So we've got a couple administrative buildings where we're hosting day services, providing a lot of different opportunities to learn, create, recreate, and things, and educate within those settings. And so that's a little bit about our model, but we try to make our services offered in that setting as individualized to the different individuals participating at those sites, so that they find benefit and maximize their time spent there.
Sure. And then there's also residential services and employment services then for the adults as well, to allow them to move on with their lives, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we have on campus, we have a 56-acre campus in Palatine. So we, on campus, we have some adult services and residential education, not educational, employment services, and some of that adjacent day support. But on campus, a lot of it is our children's group homes. So we have several children's group homes. We have a therapeutic school housed there as well. And then, a plethora of other administrative and supportive programs as
Sure.
well.
Now, the program that's in the Joliet or the southern suburbs, what programs do you really focus on in that location?
For the southern suburb, Matson area, and our Joliet offices, those are only for foster care and adoption services and our community-based clinical services.
And that foster care, are those referrals primarily for children who have autism or some type of behavioral or developmental issue?
No,
It's for
we work with youth who have no identified special needs, as well as youth with identified special needs. And we are one of the preferred providers of serving youth who have intellectual and developmental disabilities and autism in the foster care space, but not the only. But we're typically considered, when some of those youth require additional support and care.
And I'm assuming that in that foster care setting, a lot of time the caregiver support becomes a real issue. Would that be true?
In which way?
Well, do you provide caregiver services to provide counseling or training for anybody within that foster care program that you have?
Yes, we provide an abundance of services to our families, both birth and foster. So all of the counseling that we provide to our youth in our foster care program is in home. And so that allows us a lot of time to partner with the parents around the work that we're doing, provide that education, support, anything in that array. But we also offer our foster parents over 250 hours of training every single year.
Wow.
So you do training every single month, multiple trainings a month, and our trainings are designed and delivered by our staff, so they're very specific to the needs of the kids that we're working with, and the types of tools that our foster parents are going to need in their toolbox in order to best serve our kids.
Very cool. And now the services that you provide relative to foster care is anybody in the community, right? So if you're interested in becoming a foster parent, would you start with your organization? How would you tell somebody listening today who wants to get involved?
Great question. And yes, we do provide community-based services. So anybody who's interested in learning more can just email us at foster@littlecity.org, and we will follow up with some detailed information about next steps, including we do a monthly foster parent orientation session. We do a plethora of events in our various communities for which we're providing service. So we will invite people to attend our events and get familiarized with us in that type of way as well. But we do all of our foster parent introductory sessions virtually. So we're able to do those one-on-one, at the family's convenience, or, do them in a once-a-month group format as well.
And I think it takes a special person who's going to get involved with that foster care program. Would you not agree? A special person having a special compassion for children.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you really it has to start with the baseline of having a care, empathy, and passion for serving and working with vulnerable youth. But if that's your baseline of what's compelling you to call or learn more, we've got nowhere to go but up from there.
Absolutely right, because it's a really interesting, a premise. And sometimes, you indicate that you do have a lot of your children there who have behavioral or intellectual development issues that are there. And sometimes you might get involved as a foster parent, am I correct? And you wouldn't know how these issues are going to unfold necessarily. You might have a child from almost birth.
Right, absolutely. And some of our youth do have some really complex needs, but I will say that, align with the training that we're providing, the training that's offered through DCFS as part of becoming a licensed foster parent, and the ongoing support provided from the agency, through our licensing department and our intake and matching group, who really works with each of our families to try to find the right youth and match for each family's home, really helps navigate through that process, and then once we find that right match, the family gets that added support of, the in-home case management and clinical services as well.
And I think that what happens is that the family then doesn't end up on an island, so to speak, just stuck and not knowing what to do next. And I think that that's where your organization would come in. Would that be your perception as well?
Yes, absolutely. I always like to say, pulling off the famous quote from Hillary Clinton, that, it takes a little city to help these kids and
Sure.
families, right? We all got to come together and work together to support them for their success. And we all have a stake in those positive outcomes.
And that's fantastic. People might say to you, I am not in a position to become a foster parent for whatever reason that might be. Maybe I'm retired. Maybe I just want to give back in another way, but I can't become a foster parent. Are there other things that people can do for Little City to help out?
Yes, absolutely. As a kind of reference, we do have a lot of different events that we're hosting throughout the year. We have almost one a month in our various communities. We're always in need of volunteers at our events, to serve in different capacities. We, at different times, are in need of or partner with different individuals or community groups for donations. We also have a mentoring program. So if there's individuals who are interested in just getting, supporting some of our kids, getting their foot in the door in maybe a less intimidating way of committing to being a foster parent, they can come through and get to know us and work with some of our kids and provide them some more one-to-one support as well, which would be immensely helpful. So,
and it's a really fascinating idea, because one is you may not know if you can do it or if you want to do it, and it gets you an introduction. Or maybe, like I said, there are some individuals just can't take that on, but could help out and want to. So they can just reach out to your organization and then be able to learn or get acquainted with the different opportunities then.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's really, I know it can take a lot to make just that first contact. I get it. And we are not pushing anything on anyone. It's really more of starting with where they are and what are their interests. And then we try to help them navigate where we can help them from there, and match, finding that perfect match, whether it's volunteering, mentoring, exploring, fostering, or working with it in other program areas of Little City as well.
And then let's change the scenario. And let's say somebody doesn't have the time or the capacity to get involved individually, but they want to come to an event. Maybe you're doing fundraising for the organization, or they can help in a monetary way or some other way. What other events do you have going forward that someone might be or want to get involved with?
Yes, Little City as an organization, again, does a lot of really exciting events for fundraising purposes. That information is on our website, just littlecity.org, or our Facebook page. You can just, Google Little City Facebook. For example, our annual gala, which is one of our biggest fundraisers of the year, is actually tomorrow at the Palmer House Hilton. We do an annual golf outing in June. We have a poker night in September. We do community walks and things like that as part of the larger organization. But then in addition to that, Little City Foster Care, we do our specific events, really to support our current kids and families we're serving, but to introduce ourselves and bet ourselves in our community and welcome community members to get to know us as well. So we've got a partnership and an event in early June with the Joliet minor league baseball team, the Slammers. We're hoping to be at the Star Wars parade in Joliet as well. We do an annual picnic at Dan Ryan Woods in August, and a number of other events that we plan and host throughout the year. So, but those are the ones upcoming.
Right. Well, I can tell you that personally, I have a family member who had fostered 3 kids, one's adopted and hoping to get the other 2, been through there, know that one of those children then, as they aged out, developed some issues that had to be addressed. but really that network that's there is so vital and so important. And I think that sometimes the community at large doesn't understand the network that really is out there to be available. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that say, I'm at a different level, or I'm at a time in life where I can give back in another way. So if you're considering an organization dealing with children that need to be placed and have needs, it's such a wonderful way to get involved. So Emily, we appreciate your time. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience today that might give them a little more information overall?
No, I think we have had a really open and great discussion this morning and have covered it. And anything that we may have missed or maybe piqued people's curiosity, I would just direct them to our website that has a plethora of information, our Facebook pages, or just to reach out and we can make those personal connections and look forward to talking with people further.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.